Welcome to another day of accountability where I talk about what I've learned in terms of data analysis. Today I'd like to talk about data repositories. What are data repositories? Data repositories are basically data that has been collected, organized, and isolated for various uses, which could include business intelligence, data analysis, or you could just use it as an archive for your data. And there are different types of data repositories, whether it's your normal databases, which are relational, non-relational databases. We have your data lakes, we have your data warehouses, we have big data, we have data pipelines. I believe the list goes on, but nonetheless, today I'd like to talk about data warehouses as well as big data. Data warehouses are or is a large accumulation, right, of a company's data that'll be used to help make business decisions or for any other use case, right? And this can be gathered from different data sources, whether it's from your ERP system, your sales system, or just your transactions, anything really that is data, right? You can get it from all these different data sources. There's a process towards attaining this data, right? So let's just say you have your data warehouse right here, and then you have your CRM, your ERP, as well as your online transactions, right? All of these things get filtered through, right? These are your data sources. All of these things get filtered through, you collect it. The process that's used in order to collect this data is E, which is for extraction, T, which is for transform, and then L, which is for load, right? So you're extracting the data. I believe this is where R comes in, or Python. And then T comes in, which is the transformation, which I believe is the cleaning and the standardization of the data in order to make sure that it is structured and there's a specific format, right? And then L is to load, which is where you load it into this warehouse. Hence, what are you going to do with this data warehouse? Well, you could just store it. Alternatively, you could use this for analysis. You could also use this for reports, or you could use this for any other reason imaginable. So there are governing factors when it comes to the data that you'll collect in order to store into a database, such as latency, types of data, the structure of the data, the intended use of data, the transaction speed, as well as how it is that you're going to query the data. So those are things that should be considered when it comes to creating a database. If it's one thing that I've noticed, right, throughout my little journey of entrepreneurship, is that WhatsApp used to be a type of database, right? Especially when you've accumulated a lot of numbers and you get status views and you get return customers, you get new customers, and so on and so forth. One thing that I'm glad I know now, especially going forward, is that it would have been very valuable, right, to actually export all the contacts. And one of my best friends, Phil, actually mentioned that, hey, we should store these WhatsApp numbers. These are a database. This is proof of concept, right? And yeah, now that I'm reading about this and I'm learning about data analysis, it actually goes to show that you actually can get data from social media, you know? WhatsApp is actually a data source that could have been used, especially when it comes to Facebook advertising, getting those people who would actually contact us concerning that. We could have just filtered that into a database and known that, okay, cool, then this is how we're going to define it. We have the numbers, we have whether or not this person just contacted us, and obviously we sent them the message but they never responded, so that could have been a cold lead, and then moving on to per se, besides for the cold lead, then there are warm leads. People are like, yeah, we're gonna buy, and then the people that are hot on the mark. That could have actually helped us in terms of not just analysis, but rather approaching as to how we can market or what it is that is valuable. And I feel like if a lot of people would actually consider that, right, as solo entrepreneurs, as sole proprietors, they could actually get a lot further if they were to take their database seriously and their analytics, I guess. But that's a personal journey nonetheless. That's neither here nor there. The next data repository that I'd like to talk about is big data, right? The idea that I get from big data reminds me of cloud computing, right? Where basically, because there's just so many resources that a big company has, such as Amazon, they offer those resources to people because obviously I'm going to use this for my virtual machine. I don't need to buy a machine that'll be fully dedicated to that. I'm going to use this, less time, less space, less money wasted. I'm just going to use this for this specific purpose. Big data just gives me that feeling of use case, even though I might be wrong. So the definition is distributed computational and storage infrastructure to store, scale, and process very large data sets. I'm not sure if BigQuery is this, but then one thing that I get from big data, right, besides for the cloud computing perspective that I understand from it, is that big data is valuable in terms of, which I learned from the Google Analytics course, is valuable in terms of viewing things in a larger picture, in a larger sense of data that you might not have. Because in this little microcosm of running an SME or even just normal businesses, there's a large microcosm of everything and how everything goes, especially when you consider Google and and the amount of queries that are there, which is basically people trying to access the database and perform what it is that they need to do, or analyze what it is that they need to do, gain insight, to report what it is that they need to report. That's actually pretty amazing that we could possibly gain access to that, or that we can gain access to that. I just need to check that out. But nonetheless, those are the two types of data sources that I wanted to talk about. We'll talk about relational databases as well as data lakes, data pipelines, and so on and so forth. But besides for that, thank you so much for watching this video.